Hey, I'm Goat Boy, and we're going to talk about Grey Knights. Grey Knights, the holy warriors of the Emperor. Basically, they go around ensuring that the Warp isn't doing bad stuff to the Imperium. They're the almost super goody two shoes in a lot of ways of the army. They are a bunch of psychic, powerful masters. They're one of the few Marines that didn't get Primaris, which is kind of disappointing, but I understand because you don't want to have a bunch of psychic Primaris dudes that could have other problems, and I don't think Call makes that. But that's kind of what they do. They're very tough. They're one of the few firstborn armies of Marines, and they're all psychers, and they hate demons, and they hate chaos, and everything they do is holy something or other. Best things out of the Grey Knight Codex. Well, I say there's three things because I really truly believe this codex should be called Codex Dragos, Strikes, and Dread Knights. Those are the three things that seem to be very strong in this army, and they're very easy to slot in and build a force. Drago's a beast. He's a chapter master. He has lots of attacks. He's very tough. And he's Drago. We all hated him before when he beat up Mortarion years ago in the old fluff, and he's back and he's a monster. Then you've got Dread Knights, the baby carriers of 40k. They've had a massive shift in their rules and power, so I think they're much better. You're going to see a sword with two weapon Dread Knights showing up in most armies. In fact, I think my list I wrote about had 5. And I think you're going to see 3 regular ones and 2 character ones because it's very, very powerful. And then finally, on top of this, you have the Strike Squad. The plain Jane Strike Squad is pretty dang amazing. 3 attacks, a bolter, their sword does a lot of damage, there's lots of combos that do stuff with their damage. The basic troop is good, so I expect those 3 things to be, I mean, if I'm playing Grey Knights, which I do have one at home, that's what I'm playing with. So Grey Knights are going to, usually most games are going to be under, their army's not going to be nearly as big. So they're kind of going to feel like Custodes in the match play where you have to be controlling of your movement, you got to know where you're going, and you got to be very particular how you move around. I don't think it's going to be the most forgiving army because again, you're relying on a Psychic Power Dice, which you can, roll bad. But there will be times where they'll feel just brutal with the damage they can unleash. So from the match play environment gameplay style, it is an interesting setup. I don't think it's going to smash through stuff. I do think that they end up doing better versus some of the other armies. AdMech might be a problem still for them because of the amount of damage you can get in your low model count, mixed with what looks like Dark Elder are always going to be a problem because they're fast. You do have movement abilities. You are pretty quick, so you can move around the table, and most weapons are always going to do bad stuff to them. And then the new kind of Angry One Sisters on the block will be interesting. Now you have enough like basic spells you can cast that you should be able to break through their 5-up or 4-6-up or their deny ability, but they could be a problem. But I would think Dread Knights and everything else being able to hit on 2s, wound on 2s is going to start chewing through stuff. But yeah, that's kind of where I see them sitting in the middle, but kind of where they need to be. There's a scary combo that can do exploding 6s for extra hits. You can then do 6s to wound, cause mortal wounds, and then you can have rerolls to wound, rerolls to hit, and I think you can have other exploding 6s doing extra wounds. So you start having these 4 swords doing 30 mortal wounds to a unit off a single 10-man strike squad. That's pretty nutty, and there's not a whole lot in the game. I think we figured out that Mortarion would survive because of Feel No Pain, his toughness, and not having rerolls to the army be able to do it. But this whole push towards exploding 6s, exploding out, can get these games to go very swingy, so it starts really getting funky with math. I think you utilize one of the tides of convergence to cause mortal wounds with your nemesis weapons. So it's kind of it's kind of combo-y, but it's not like it's really hard to do. You just got to have a couple things set up and go your way. And there's like one or 2 units that maybe are not the best in the option, I think, with the chaplet and everything else. But you can all of a sudden shout the horn and crush into someone and wreck them. So watch out for that as Strike Squad coming in and killing what you find important. So Grey Knights had a pretty interesting update in or not Faith and Fury, or the Psychic Awakening. They had an interesting update that made them very powerful for a little bit, and then the edition changed. So they lost some of those combos and some of those things, and got replaced it with a much more consistency with their damage profile, with their force weapons. Their Stratagems are much more consistent. They feel like a shift on Marines, which is overall for the better. I mean, they got 2 wounds, which is great. I think the biggest thing that they kind of lost was Terminators were really important in the old book, and they're not important now. So it's one of the few odd shifts that you see every other army get their Terminators would get really good, and then Grey Knights somehow they don't. But this book, you add a whole bunch of Brotherhood stuff, so you add extra Brotherhood powers, extra other abilities. They kind of fix the psychic problem. They have full smites. So overall, I think this update is a much better update for the Grey Knight players. Hey, if you want to check out the Thousand Suns review, click over here. Thanks for watching.